So on May 2nd, we got the death of Tupac Shakur's mother. This story, super interesting to me. It brings back a lot of old memories. It's also super connected to everything that I have been mentioning in a lot of my previous videos. Not just the numbers, but also the stories. Since like 2002, 2003, I just randomly started writing down ideas and thoughts and questions that I had. Stuff like how, my mom and dad always made me go to church, and I always had to dress up to go to church. And I always thought, why do I have to dress up to go to church? Why can't I wear sweatpants? Does God hate homeless people too? Are homeless people not allowed in church because they don't have nice clothes? Stuff like that, Eventually, I ended up making a book out of it from like 2007. I took a lot of them. I just thought, man, I'm just going to write a book. I've learned a whole lot from it. I was wrong in a lot of things. The whole point was just that I was thinking about a lot of this. And a lot of other people that I know just have never thought about stuff like that. And I don't, to this day, I still can't figure out, why I have thought about it. I made like 5 videos or something like that. If you want to read through some of the things. I put it on YouTube. I don't even know what it's called. Maybe I'll look for the links and whatnot. I don't want you to go buy it or anything like that. It is on Amazon. I don't really care. I never made any money off of it anyway. But moral of the story, is just I was thinking about a lot of these things way before I even realized it. But I was always just too scared or this or that to talk about it. And I know a lot of people go through this. I went through it for a really long time, And I used to only talk about it like when I'd get real hammered or something. And one day one of my friends told me about Zeitgeist, and I was like, all right, so we sat down and watched Zeitgeist. And I thought, pretty cool movie and all that. Then I watched the second one, and I think I even mentioned it in the book or something like that, how I had watched it, or maybe it was the first one. All I know is there's just stuff even in that stuck out to me, I questioned that even. I was never a person to just accept things for the way they are. That movie, they talk about how we need to rid the world of the money system and everything else. But then you go on their website and they're selling the DVD for way more than the cost that it costs to make the DVD and ship it and everything. So they were making money off of it while at the same time telling you not to get rid of the money. Just weird stuff like that. I understand like the whole point of what they were trying to do. To an extent, and there's a lot more about that than movies and whatnot that we could go on and on and on about. But moral of the story, it just builds back to this because Tupac, when he died, that was one of the first quote-unquote conspiracy theories that I ever really got into. I always wondered about it in high school, or maybe it was like in the beginning of college, we finally got internet. And I found a lot of stuff on how Tupac was really alive, and it was all coded with numbers. So it's just kind of funny to me that now I'm doing all this gematria, and it's really just consumed me, and I see it in everything. And way back then, I was still doing stuff with numbers, and I didn't even realize it until his mom died. And I think at the time, a lot of it had to do with I just didn't put that much effort into it. I thought it was only like Tupac and Kurt Cobain who were murdered. I didn't realize how big it actually was. I also had like not as much confidence as I do now, like not even close. So I was a lot scared to come out and really talk about a lot of these things. Even the day that I saw the UFO before 9/11, I was in radio broadcasting my first year of college. So we all had to go to school that day. I still went to college. And we had just big meetings all day about it. And I was telling people how I saw a UFO. I think it has something to do with aliens, especially with George Bush coming to Offutt Air Force Base. And also how there's just something bigger going on than what we're being told, And everybody just laughed at me, called me a dumbass and whatever. And I was just like, all right, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. But, I kept it in the back of my head for years. I've always still thought about it. I talk about it to certain people and whatnot. But back to Tupac. So a few years after 9/11, in college I had to take a public speaking class, and we had to do a speech, a persuasion speech, and for whatever the reason I did mine on the death of Tupac and how Tupac is really alive. But when I think back on it, is whether he's truly alive or not, what I did prove was that his death was coded by the numbers. And you can find it if you look up. There's a lot of 7 stuff. He had just came out with the 7-Day Theory album. He died at 4:03, which equals 7. I can't even remember it all. I know there was lots of 7 stuff involved in it. He died on the 7th day and all kinds of stuff. Even when you learn gematria, his name equals 139, like Freemasonry, and he died on September 13th, which is 139 or 13/9, just like his name. He even accidentally shot a little kid at a concert or whatever. That little kid's name had 139 gematria. You learn a whole lot more, but the whole point is I gave this speech. My teacher absolutely hated it. He gave me a D on it, said that the sources weren't legit and whatnot, and the information I presented doesn't prove that he's still alive. And I thought, now when I think about it, yeah, that's true. It doesn't prove that he's really alive, but how did he not find it interesting of all of the numbers connections that I gave him, and he still thought, this kid is crazy, his sources are horrible, or whatever. You don't need sources to show the facts of all of how the numbers sync up. You know what I mean? All you need to know is the police report, what the media is showing you, and then you'll start seeing all of the patterns. Citing sources always seemed like a joke to me anyway. I get the point of it, but why do you have to cite the source of certain things and not other things, If I wrote a story about the color pink or the color blue, I don't have to cite the source that it's blue and why it's blue or why it's pink. Everybody just accepts the fact that that's what it is, but nobody actually really knows why that it is what it is, you know what I mean? So, it's just stuff like that. It's never made that much sense to me. So, I guess the whole point I'm trying to make is that this was just really interesting because it was the first conspiracy theory that I really got into, and it actually involved numbers. And just I've had a lot of setbacks over the years from experiences from people telling me I'm crazy and whatnot. And probably since about 2010 is when I just quit caring. It's like, I want the change, At one point I thought that it was pointless and there was no way we could change this stuff. But my perspective has changed, So, sorry for rambling, but anyway, let's look at the death of Tupac's mother. So, first thing I noticed, she dies age 69, a number that has just been all over death this year. In regards to basketball, I've mentioned the whole back-to-back theme, talked about the Golden State Warriors possibly winning back-to-back championships or whatever, but also if you write out back-to-back, it equals 69. This is connected to the All-Star Week and whatnot, where Zach LaVine won back-to-back slam dunk contests. Russell Westbrook won back-to-back All-Star Game MVPs. It was in Toronto, where Drake is from. Drake even came out with the song Back-to-Back. So she dies age 69. Back-to-back equals 69. Cleveland Cavaliers equals 69 the small way, 168 the big way. Afeni Shakur Davis, that's her real name. Look what her name is, exactly like Cleveland Cavaliers. If you write out Tupac's mother, like it says up here too, it equals 51, a super interesting number connected to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland equals 51, Cleveland Cavs equals 51, LeBron James equals 51, Quicken Loans equals 51, Cleveland as a city hasn't won a sports championship in 51 years. If you write out 51 years, it equals 69 and 168. A lot like but Tupac's mother and Cleveland Cavaliers. Her real name, Alice Faye Williams. Interesting, it equals 165. I've been mentioning about this trying to figure out the puzzle, YouTube gave my video a copyright strike. Right after I put my video up about the death of Prince, YouTube gave my video from 2014 a copyright strike. It was about the movie 22 Jump Street. If you write out 22, it equals 165 in gematria. I just so happened to put my video up 165 days after the movie came out. It came out on June 13th. This year, June 13th is the 165th day of the year. They even gave me a copyright strike on the video 165 days after my birthday. One thing I discovered earlier was, in regards to Pope Francis and whatnot, look at the gematria of Rome. Rome equals 165, also 51. And 306 just so happens to be, the 306th prime number just so happens to be 2017, a lot like next year. So I don't know if they're foreshadowing something in regards to the Pope. The Pope's been pretty popular, especially with his trip to the United States on his 923rd day as Pope, and he went to the White House at 923 on 923. LeBron James equals 923 in Jewish gematria. He was in the movie Trainwreck. Trainwreck equals 122, just like Pope Francis equals 122. Last year there was a Philadelphia Trainwreck at 9:23 p.m. In the movie Trainwreck, Amy Schumer is 9 years old in the beginning. The rest of the movie takes place 23 years later. But anyway, let's move on here. So, she died on May 2nd, 2016. If you write that out, it equals 112. Remember, Prince died on Queen Elizabeth's 90th birthday, which was also the 112th day of the year. The Simpsons even had the episode where they killed Prince, George Clooney, and Neil Armstrong. It came out on November 2nd, 11/2. Also, one of the things I talked about, there was a space theme or whatever, because Neil Armstrong was the first person to walk on the moon. Moon equals 57 in gematria, just like how Prince died at the age of 57. I talked about George Clooney being in the movie Gravity. But in regards to the Cleveland Cavaliers and Prince Charles and Queen Elizabeth, so if Queen Elizabeth dies, Queen Elizabeth II equals 168, just like Cleveland Cavaliers. If she dies, her son, Prince Charles, will become King Charles III. Cavaliers are followers of King Charles I during the English Civil War. But what's interesting in regards to the moon theme is that Prince Charles, his first wife was Princess Diana. Diana is the moon goddess. Also, I've seen some stuff on Facebook or something about how Prince, Michael Jackson, and Whitney Houston, so they had the king, the queen, and the prince. They all died or whatever. But interesting, Michael Jackson even has the song Dirty Diana and stuff like that. But that Michael Jackson was even born the same year as Prince and whatnot. Michael Jackson, Beyonce did the whole Michael Jackson tribute this year at the Super Bowl with wearing the same outfit with the X on it. That all had to do with the X theme. The score is even 24-10. 10 is X in Roman numerals. 24 is the X is the 24th letter. In gematria, Malcolm equals 24. X equals 24. His real last name was Little. Little equals 24. It's all about the Black Panthers, which once again coincides with Tupac's mother, famous for being a Black Panther. But anyway, let's move on here. So, she was born on January 10th. If you go from her birthday to the day that she died, a span of 113 days. Also 3 months, 22 days. The skull and bones number, if you do it backwards, it's 223. Friday the 13th, the day of the Paris attacks, equals 223. The word Masonic equals 223. The Synagogue of Satan equals 223. 113, if you write out her name, Afeni Shakur, or however you pronounce it, it equals 113, and she dies 113 days after her birthday. Also, if you go from the day she died to the anniversary of Tupac dying, it's a span of 134 days. Also 4 months, 11 days. In Jewish gematria, 411 equals assassin. JFK also died at 411 Elm Street. If you read out King Charles III, it equals 134. So just really sticks out. We've talked about 134 a whole lot. The movie Money Monster that stars George Clooney, who also died in the Simpsons episode with Prince and Neil Armstrong. It comes out on the 134th day of the year. There's a whole lot of other 134s, but just want to point out King Charles III equals 134. He's been a huge topic. So they also say she died of a possible cardiac arrest. Possible cardiac arrest in gematria equals 218 and 92. If you read out the word 219, it equals exactly the same. Just like back-to-back championships equals 219, so 219 equals the same as a possible cardiac arrest. Warriors win back-to-back equals 92. Just like a possible cardiac arrest, just like 219. Also, if you listen to the video clip on the CNN article, and what it is, it's a clip from the song Dear Mama. It's from the actual video. Well, let's just listen to what they say on this video. Listen to what she says here.
When I was pregnant in jail, I thought I was going to have a baby and the baby would never be with me, but I was acquitted a month and 3 days before Tupac was born. I was real happy because I had a son when I was young.
So she was acquitted a month and 3 days before Tupac was born. That's what she says. Month and 3 days. Tupac born on June 16th, 1971. So 1 month and 3 days before Tupac's birthday just so happens to be May 13th, the 134th day of the year this year, the day that Money Monster comes out. King Charles III equals 134. Also interesting, it's a span of 34 days. I've mentioned about how the Warriors beat the Cavs by 34 points on January 18th. It was 34 Cavs games after LeBron shot 9 of 23. The Warriors also won the NBA Finals last year on the anniversary of Tupac's birthday. He would have been 43 years old. If you go from Tupac's birth to the day that she died, yeah, so Tupac, moral of the story, Tupac would have been 44 years old if he was alive right now when his mom died. 44, a number super significant to the Warriors. Steve Kerr came back on their 44th game of the season. They defeated the Chicago Bulls' 44 home game win streak. In the beginning of the season, they were even chasing the Lakers' 33-game win streak. It was from 44 years ago when Jerry West was on the team. Jerry West wore number 44. In gematria, Jerry West equals 44. It's also the Warriors' 44th season in Golden State. So there's more to it than that, but there are just some interesting 44s around the Warriors. Obama's the 44th president or 43rd person to be president. So even like Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are running to be the 44th person to be the president. And the reason that is because Grover Cleveland, like where the Cavs play, he served 2 non-consecutive terms or whatever. He was the 21st and the 22nd and the 24th president. So just kind of interesting, it's breaking up the whole back-to-back thing. I've been talking about this back-to-back theme they're running, and it involves Cleveland and the Warriors, obviously, but then Grover Cleveland, the only president who didn't serve back-to-back terms. Anyway, they talk about the song Dear Mama in this CNN article. Dear Mama equals 152 in Jewish gematria. The word 79 equals 152. I've talked about this a whole lot. Pennsylvania equals 152, where Philadelphia is. The Warriors used to be from Philadelphia. Philadelphia comes from the book of Revelation. Golden State in gematria equals 122. Pope Francis equals 122. They even play in the San Francisco Bay Area. San Francisco equals 122. San Francisco and Pope Francis, both named after St. Francis of Assisi. So, interesting connections. But anyway, the 79, Pope Francis just turned 79 this year. LeBron Ramon James equals 79. Lots of 79. The word champion equals 79. I've talked about it in previous posts. I don't want to keep going on about it. Just please, I'll leave a link to my blog. You can come read some of it or watch some of my previous videos. It's a lot to take in and there's a lot of information, but just watch it and you'll understand some of the connections that I am making. Dear Mama in English reduction or Pythagorean gematria also equals 56. President equals 56. A lot of bad things around 56. ISIS equals 56. Paris, France equals 56. Osama bin Laden, Adolf Hitler, Saddam Hussein all equal 56. Abraham Lincoln died at the age of 56 in the year 65, the mirror. In April, the only month that adds up to 56. Anyway, Dear Mama also came out on February 21st, which is the 52nd day of the year. And then his mom ends up dying on 5/2, a lot like 52. The album that it's on even comes out on Pi Day. Steph Curry's birthday is on Pi Day. We had the Kansas train derailment on Pi Day. Interesting, the next single came out on June 13th, a day I've been talking about a whole lot as well, the 165th day of the year. I talked about how YouTube gave my video a copyright strike right after I put the Prince video up. I think I mentioned that before. If not, I'll leave a little note. If you go from 2/21 to 6/13, it's a span of 112 days, a lot like the day that Prince died. He died on the 112th day of the year. The Simpsons episode that killed him came out on 11/2. Chicago Bulls equals 112 in gematria. The emergency dialing code in a lot of other countries, instead of 911, it's 112. Sandy Hook equals 112 or 112. The final single came out on August 29th, 1995. So it was August 29th is the same day that Judgment Day in Terminator 2 happens or whatever. The song even is called Temptations, that equals 152. The reason I mentioned the whole Judgment Day thing is because of Draymond Green and also, what is her name? Olivia Munn at the Academy Awards talked about the robot takeover the day before Draymond Green said, "I am not a robot," and whatnot. Another thing that really stuck out to me, we've talked about the Chicago Bulls and the Warriors breaking the 73 wins and whatnot. Look at Afeni Shakur. She was born in Lumberton, North Carolina. And when I saw that, I've done so much research into Michael Jordan and whatnot over the past few years. Michael Jordan's dad was murdered in Lumberton, North Carolina. There's also been all kinds of bad things in regards to the Carolinas. The Carolina Panthers didn't win the Super Bowl. North Carolina didn't win the college championship. Clemson lost in the football championship. Clemson's from South Carolina. The Carolinas are named after King Charles. Cavaliers are followers of King Charles. So anyway, Michael Jordan's dad, James Raymond Jordan Sr. equals 237. He dies on July 23rd, which is in England is written as 23/7. His name equals 237. He dies on 23/7. 8 days before his 57th birthday even. So he was 56 years old. I've even made tons of videos about Michael Jordan, how he's connected to Philadelphia as well. The last team that he played ever in the NBA was the Philadelphia 76ers. The Cleveland Cavaliers coach Tyronn Lue was even on that team and started with him. He was on the Wizards with Jordan or whatever, but they played Philadelphia. Philadelphia is significant to this 56 as well. The Declaration of Independence had 56 signers. The first one was John Hancock, who died at the age of 56. The last one was Charles Carroll III. like a Charles III, which if Queen Elizabeth dies, King Charles will be King Charles III. But anyway, Charles Carroll, he died. He was the last person to die who signed the Declaration of Independence. He died 56 years after it was signed. So a super important number. Michael Jordan's dad also died on the beginning of the dog days of summer. And, the dog star is Sirius. And remember Michael Jordan's entrance song or whatever, dun 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 dun, whatever. That song is actually written by the Alan Parsons Project. The song is titled Sirius. So, I mean, pretty interesting. Also, these are the guys who supposedly killed him. Daniel Andre Green equals 136 as a date. That's a lot like June 13th, 165th day of the year. Larry Martin Demery, 219. California and Jewish Gematria equals 219. Also, back-to-back championships equals 219. I've mentioned this over and over with the Warriors. Tupac's mom, then, to Michael Jordan's dad's death, a span of 2 months, 21 days. Remember 221 is the 52nd day. She dies on 5/2 even. Also interesting, it's 82 days. The NBA season is 82 games, or the regular season 82 games. It was also, I guess, 2 months, 21 days before the 23rd anniversary of Jordan's dad. Michael Jordan wore number 23. LeBron James wears number 23. The date numerology of the day Tupac's mother died, 5 plus 2 plus 16 even equals 23. LeBron also wore number 9 in the Olympics. In one of the Olympics, at least, he wore number 9, and he also is number 23, so the 923, just like what his name adds up to. Michael Jordan also wore number 9 in the Olympics, number 9 and number 23. I even showed this a whole lot in the movie Space Jam. I did a whole bunch of decodes or whatever, the movie Space Jam. They show Michael Jordan's Olympic jersey next to his number 23. He came back and wore number 45 when he came out of retirement. He only wore number 45 for 22 games, and then on the 23rd game, he switched back to number 23. He also wore number 12 one game ever. It was on Valentine's Day, because supposedly somebody stole his jersey. That was the Bulls' 49th game that season, and Michael Jordan even scored 49 points in that game. So it's also kind of weird that Michael Jordan retired for the first time on 10/6 of 1993, 2 months, 13 days after his dad was murdered. Then he came back and won a second three-peat, 2 years later? But last year, the Warriors won the finals 122 days after Valentine's Day. When Zach LaVine did the Space Jam dunk last year on Valentine's Day, Golden State equals 122. They won the finals 122 days after Valentine's Day. The Warriors also signed Kevon Looney this season. He was in college last year. He played for UCLA. On Valentine's Day, he was the leading scorer, maybe not the leading scorer, but he had the best all-around game. He was the best player of the game for UCLA. The same day that Zach LaVine did the Space Jam dunk and won the slam dunk contest, Zach LaVine, also from UCLA. Russell Westbrook won the All-Star Game MVP, Russell Westbrook from UCLA. Also, Kevin Love for the Cleveland Cavaliers got hurt and whatnot. Kevin Love from UCLA, but he wore number 0 like the Monstars do in Space Jam and whatnot. But interesting, right now, Kevon Looney, or however you say that, he's hurt right now, but he's still on the Warriors team. So I don't know where I'm going with this, I guess, but it's just it's all super connected, There's a Looney Tunes theme, a Space Jam theme. I just can't really figure it out in my head. It's almost like they're doing some type of weird backward story or whatever. So in real life, Jordan's dad dies in 93, then Jordan retires in 93, plays baseball, comes back on 3/19 against the Pacers in 1995. He loses in the playoffs that year. Then next year, They get 72 wins, and they win the finals on 6/16. But then Space Jam comes out 152 days later, depicting Jordan winning the final. So the Warriors also just defeated the 1996 Chicago Bulls 72 wins record. Tupac also died in the year 1996. If you go from the day that Michael Jordan's dad died to the day that Tupac died, it's a span of 52 days. I guess 3 years and 52 days. But interesting, his mom dies on 5/2. I'm telling you, it's connected to this Michael Jordan's dad dying. Also a span of 1 month, 21 days. The word Warriors equals 121. Revelation equals 121. Like I said, the Warriors originally from Philadelphia in the book of Revelation. Also, Tupac shot 83 days after the Bulls won the NBA Finals that year. 2 months, 22 days. September 7th, the day that he got shot, is also 9/7 or 7/9. So the 79 again, the 152 connection. Murder equals 79. It also sticks out a lot, the 83, I guess. I don't know if I wrote it down here, but when LeBron James shot 9 of 23, I said that it was 34 Cavs games later. The Warriors beat the Cavs by 34 on January 18th, but it was also a span of 83 days. The first time they played each other was on Christmas Day this year. The Warriors won 89-83. So, interesting, it's 83 days to the day Tupac was shot. The Warriors also won last year on June 16th, so it would have been Tupac's 43rd birthday. Even 89 plus 83 is 172. If you write out Stephen Curry, it equals 172. When he hurt his ankle, it was on the 72nd day of the NBA season. So who knows? Also, Jordan's dad dies 22 years, 9 months, and 9 days before Tupac's mom. Just sticks out a lot, The 22nd prime is 79. I've also mentioned the 9-9 a whole lot. Abraham Lincoln died at 9 hours and 9 minutes after being shot. The first president to die in office was the 9th president, William Henry Harrison. The next president that will die in office will be the 9th president to die in office, a lot like the 99. Obama's 9 presidents after JFK, the last president to die in office. JFK is the 44th term president. Obama's the 44th president. William Henry Harrison died on April 4th, 4/4. Obama also sang Amazing Grace at Clementa Pinckney's funeral last year. It was 9 days after 9 people got shot. If you go 9 months and 9 days after that, it takes you to 4/4 of this year. So a lot of interesting numbers. Tupac's mother also was involved in this case called Panther 21 with the Black Panthers, and that's what she was acquitted on 1 month and 3 days before he was born. Interesting is in 1969 even, she dies at the age of 69. This big old story about her involves the number 69. Supposedly they're going to shoot up the 44th precinct police station and the 24th. Remember, Malcolm equals 24. X is the 24th letter. His last name's Little, it equals 24. The Super Bowl is all about the Black Panther theme and the number 24. We even had the big story of the Xavier Dobson that, has to be a completely fake story, but he wore the number 24. They even dedicated the 24th, January 24th, the 24th day of the year to him. And I just don't understand why that story is so much more important than other stories in the media. People die all the time. Why is that kid getting shot on his porch or whatever, saving 3 people or whatever? Why is that so much more important than people getting murdered every day? It doesn't make that much sense. I don't know why people can't think about that and just see through it. I mean, how ridiculous. Even the X-Files made a comeback this year. It came out, the first episode came out on the 24th day of the year. So definitely Black Panthers and 24. This one even says Queen's Board of Education. Once again, you know, Queens connecting to the royal family. That's where the New York Mets play. New York Mets equals 168, just like Cleveland Cavaliers. So let's move on here. Also, Carolina equals 37 and 73. The 12th prime number is 37. The 21st prime number is 73. This was Panther 21. Remember, the Warriors had the 73 wins. North Carolina also in the news, like, just all the time. There's, like, all these bad things supposedly happen in North Carolina, especially in regards to the bathroom law and just a whole bunch of other things. North Carolina, I've just noticed, in the news a lot. North Carolina, the 12th state. Illinois, where the only presidents to come out of Illinois, Obama, Abraham Lincoln, the 21st state. Also, in regards to the Black Panther theme at the Super Bowl and Michael Jackson and whatnot, Beyonce Knowles equals 69 and 168, identical to Cleveland Cavaliers. And she did the Michael Jackson tribute. Michael Joseph Jackson equals 197, right? Prince equals 197, if my computer will load. 197. LeBron, I spelled it wrong, but it's all the same letters. LeBron, 197. Talk about Prince Charles becoming the new king. Charles equals 207, but if you write out 207, 207 equals 197. So whatever, I don't know what the exact importance of it is, but it's super important and super connected to a lot of the events that have been going on. Taylor Swift also equals 168 in Gematria. You had the whole Kanye West stuff with Beyonce and Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift, the small way, equals 51. Kanye West equals 51. It even says they were all indicted on April 2nd. 4-2. Perfect number for black people. I mean, I'm not even trying to be mean or whatever, but this number coded around black people like no other. February is Black History Month. February is the only month that equals 42. The super N-word equals 42, and look how it breaks down. 5 plus 9 plus 7 plus 7 plus 5 plus 9. 59, also a number all around black people. February only has 59 days in the year. On a leap year, it has 60. The super N-word, the big way, equals 60. Slave equals 59. Negro equals 59. Blues equals 59. Tobacco equals 59. Motown Records came out in 1959. Eli Whitney died at the age of 59, the guy who made the cotton gin. I mean, it's crazy. If you go clear back even, you know, like the Webb Du Bois guy, Du Bois, or however you say it, he died at the age of 95, the mere 59. Can't even remember it all. There's a whole bunch of just famous black people who died at the age of 59 or in the year 59. There's a ton more to it, you know. Obamacare equals 59. Michael Jordan equals 59. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's why you work the 9 to 5. Because you're a slave. Anyway, Panther 21, if you write that out in Gematria, 223 and also 79. So, hopefully that makes sense. If you're new to this, I know it's a lot. I'll leave my how-to Gematria video so you understand how I'm coming up with some of these numbers. If you've actually are still listening and have made it this far into the video, please go back and watch my previous videos. It's all a work in progress. It literally, like, there's so much to talk about, you can't put it all in one video. There's just a mass amount of information, how it all connects and whatnot. You have to watch the previous videos to understand the next video I make, you gotta watch this video for it to make sense. You know what I mean? All of these numbers have a significance. They're all connected and whatnot. So just pointing that out. I'm sure anybody new is not even listening anyway, and I'm just dragging it out. So have a good one. Peace.